Undroppables Playbook, a football podcast. With your hosts, Ashley and Michael, please sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Undroppables Playbook, a football podcast presented by the Undroppables and sponsored by Analyst Depot. I am your host, Ashley. This is my lovely co-host, Michael Duncan. How are you? I'm
just dandy.
We are having a podcast that is interfering with the Pro Bowl selection.
Oh my God, is that happening right now?
Yeah, I forgot about it until the Giants tweeted Saquon and Dexter Lawrence are in the Pro Bowl.
I forgot about it until you said that.
Yeah, it started at 8, or they started announcing at 8, I think.
Yeah, apparently everyone. I mean, they've already announced alternatives. Alternates.
Yep.
So I'm assuming everyone knows everyone now. So.
Yep. And the Pro Bowl QBs are Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen.
Or Jalen Smith. I heard Jalen Hurts, so I'm happy.
Yes, he was
wrong with me. I'm very tired today.
Yeah, I can tell. But you have to be excited. It's almost Christmas. We get so much Christmas football this year.
We do get a lot of it.
Lots to look forward to. But we can get started on what happened this week in the NFL. Unfortunately, Steelers Hall of Fame running back Franco Harris died at age 72. The Steelers were set to retire his number in a few days. Harris is most known for the Immaculate Reception, which is the 50th anniversary of that, coming up in just a couple days. And that's when they were going to retire his number and everything. So it's very sad to him. I urge everyone to go read the stories from former teammates, coaches, friends who shared their stories about Franco Harris. He seemed like an absolutely incredible man. You're right over there?
Yeah, I don't think I'm looking at the right Pro Bowl roster.
Probably not.
Well, it's by NFLcommunications.com.
Does it have today's date on it, or is it the old date?
I don't know. It doesn't have a date. It's just very confusing.
Interesting.
And yeah, just keep going.
Okay.
I'll be fine.
Well, this is something I think you want to talk about. Jeff Saturday and the Colts have decided to sit Matt Ryan on Monday in favor of Nick Foles. The Colts have come out and said they want Foles to start their last 3 games of the season. They want him to be the starter. Your hero, Nick Foles.
Yeah, you can't stop him. You can't hold him down. You can only hope to contain him.
Yeah.
But he's back now to unleash his wrath upon the world and his big Nick energy. So
yes,
rest in peace the rest of the NFL or whomever he plays in the final of the season.
You cannot kill that man.
No, you can't.
The Bills may have another bad weather game coming in this weekend. They are going to Chicago, and something called a bomb cyclone is going to hit Chicago. There's expected to be snow, although it may stop before the game. It's still expected to have a high in the single digits and 20 to 30 mile an hour sustained winds. The Bills PR Twitter account announced that they are now flying out tomorrow due to the weather. And that just made me want to bring up the tweet I had sent to you by Field Yates, which says the current estimates for the feels like temperature at kickoff of some of the outdoor games this Saturday. Bills at Bears, the feels like temperature is -11. Seahawks at Chiefs, -6. Saints at Browns, -9. Texans at Titans, 5 degrees. Falcons at Ravens, 7 degrees. And Raiders at Steelers, -4 degrees. A cold week of football.
The Eagles have 8 Pro Bowlers.
Okay. We're still on this?
I am. I've been trying to find the list. I couldn't find I just found a graphic from the Eagles.
Any thoughts on the cold weather games?
It's cold. It's December. Like, what the hell do you expect?
I don't know.
Cold City's going to be playing in cold games in December. They knew that when they signed up to be in a cold city.
I understand that. I'm just mentioning it. It's the news.
Okay. My news is figuring out who made the Pro Bowl for the Eagles.
Congratulations.
This is your own fault. You didn't have to mention it.
Well, it's news.
Well,
next.
I'm trying to find the news.
The 49ers head coach, Kyle Shanahan, was quoted talking about how he doesn't really believe in sitting his players when heading into playoffs. His exact quote is a little bit lengthy, but I will read it. He says, quote, "I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make just watching it over the years. That's my opinion. I would understand if you were getting ready for 7-game series. I don't think football is like that. It's 3.5 hours, one shot. I've been on a lot of teams where you rest your guys and or give guys a few more weeks. And those are usually the guys who struggle in the most in the first playoff game." Do you have any thoughts?
I think that's stupid. I don't think he understands. I as smart as Kyle Shanahan is, I also think he's kind of stupid sometimes. Like legitimately, I think he doesn't understand basic concepts of like how things work.
Mhm.
Like I get what you're saying, Kyle, but your team is so injured all the
Yeah.
darn time, dude. Maybe
Yeah.
just like, who cares? We're injured anyway. We might as well go get more injured. But like, no, you're an idiot. You don't play
Yeah.
because you don't want them to get injured in a meaningless game.
Yeah.
Like,
Like
I'd rather them be rusty than not be out there.
exactly. Like I understand the sentiment of not wanting your players to look rusty in a, elimination game, but at the same time, you don't want your stars tearing their ACLs the week before playoffs.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That I think that's always been a heated topic, but Kyle Shanahan came out and just straight up said that. A well-known Chiefs fan, super fan, I should say, was arrested for allegedly robbing a bank in the same wolf costume he wears to the games. Fans noticed he wasn't there. They were worried about him, thinking something had happened. What had happened is he was arrested.
Nice.
Has bail set at $200,000.
Can you use the money you stole for bail? I've always wondered that.
No, I think they freeze your assets.
Well, then how are you supposed to get bail?
You hope you have money, or you go
But
to
if
like a
your
bail
assets
bondsman
are
or a loan
frozen-
shark.
If you're at okay, never mind. This isn't a conversation for this podcast.
Yeah.
This is I'll text.
There was drama around the Niners rookie dinner. Rookie dinners are like a hazing ritual that happens in the NFL all the time where vets go out to dinner with rookies and make them pay. A rookie had posted something on his story saying that the bill for dinner was $300,000. Fans went crazy when he posted it, and it turns out the Niners vets were just scaring the rookies by saying it was a prank that they set up. Eric Armstead ended up saying that the vets got the waitress in on the prank. His quote was, "It was a prank. The waitress went overboard. The dinner was $7,500. Me and two other vets gave $1K towards it. The Rooks split $4,500. We had a great time too. I had good vets as a young player. I would never do a rookie like that." So, drama end. That is.
Yeah, everyone needs to calm down.
Yeah. Also, like, how
Take a
did
deep breath.
a
Take a deep breath, guys.
$300,000 dinner? I think if you believed that, you'd be crazy.
I'd also retire, to be clear. If I was that rookie and I had to pay that, I would retire.
300,000.
Also,
Yeah.
everyone just needs to calm down.
Yeah, I agree. The Bears facility was in a lockdown today due to a suspicious package. They called the police and no one was allowed to come or go for an hour. The Bears are hosting the Bills this weekend. It was in the practice facility, not in the stadium. But just a little footnote there. And Nick Bosa has passed Micah Parsons as the favorite to win defensive player of the year. Our current playoff picture, we have 3 new teams who were eliminated. That is the Broncos, the Cardinals, and the Rams. The teams with a secured playoff spot are Buffalo, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia and Dallas, Minnesota, and San Fran. 4 players. Oh.
The Rams, by being eliminated, tied the 1999 Broncos for the worst defending champions following season. Defending whatever ever.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Nice. I didn't know that. I knew that there was a record. I just didn't know that they had tied it. That's crazy.
Yep.
Crazy. Anyway, our players of the week this week for the AFC. On offense, it was Bills quarterback Josh Allen. On defense, Jags safety Rashawn Jenkins. And on special teams, Chiefs punter Tommy Townsend. For the NFC, on offense, it is Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. On defense, Giants linebacker Kayvon Thibodeau, and on special teams, Lions wide receiver Khalif Raymond. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what the clinching scenarios are for this week?
Yeah. So the Buffalo Bills. This is week 16. The Buffalo Bills will clinch the AFC East division if they win or Miami loses, and also tying. I think if either of them tie, I think that it clinches. Cincinnati clinches a playoff berth with a win or a Jets loss, or again tying. The Ravens have like a billion different ways that they can clinch a playoff berth, but they are not able to do it just simply by winning.
Mm-hmm.
It requires other people to lose. I'm not going to read all 10 scenarios. Actually, not all of them actually require winning. There's one that requires 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other teams to lose and 1 to win. If you're interested, just look it up. And the Chargers clinch a playoff berth. Same thing. There's 3 different scenarios. They need to win, and they need Las Vegas to lose, and then some other things are thrown in there. NFC. If Philadelphia wins one more game for the rest of the season, they clinch the 1 seed, they clinch the NFC East, and they clinch first round bye with the 1 seed. All they need is one more win for the rest of the season, and they are the 1 seed. It's that simple. And I think they also wait. How is that possible?
I feel like I ask myself that question every time I look at clinching scenarios.
Oh no! So if Philadelphia ties and Minnesota loses, that's the other way, which is just dumb. And then the Giants are actually the only other clinching scenario this week in the NFC. Yeah. They can clinch a playoff berth with. There's 3 different scenarios. I'll give them to you. They need to win. Washington can lose and Detroit loses, or Washington can lose and Seattle loses, or Detroit loses and Seattle loses. So basically, they need to win, and they need 2 of Washington, Detroit, and Seattle to lose for the Giants to clinch a playoff berth.
Possible. We haven't had conversations about the Giants clinching a playoff spot in Week 16 in forever, so always possible, especially when you're talking about the Minnesota Vikings and what they do lately. So those are our clinching scenarios. I'll get into injury report, and you'll give us a breakdown of this week afterwards. For quarterbacks, Cardinals backup quarterback who had replaced Kyler Murray, Colt McCoy, has a concussion, will be out this week. Trace McSorley is in line to start. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson is still not practicing. That makes 8 straight missed practices with his PCL sprain. John Harbaugh remains non-committal on his status for this weekend. Jets quarterback Mike White did not end up playing this week after not getting clearance from his rib injury. He did try to go to 10 different doctors to get one of them to okay his return. The Jets said even if he did from one of those 10 doctors, they would not have played him. So more so just for his own health and safety, not for anything he did. He's still considered a limited participant. The Jets are expecting to start Zach Wilson again. I don't know if he was officially declared out yet, but I know he's towing that line. The Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts sprained his shoulder in the game this week. The Eagles are floating the idea of sitting Hurts for 2 weeks to heal. Like you said, the Eagles only need one more win to have the top seed in the NFC. Sirianni said yesterday, quote, "His body is not like ours. I will not rule him out." So he's another one who remains non-committal. If they do decide to sit Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew would be the starter in his absence. Do you have any thoughts about Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, he's going to sit out this week. I'm almost positive. And I think Gardner Minshew is going to light the world on fire. It's like this lining up of just like magic. I mean, so Gardner Minshew missed yesterday's walkthrough because he was speaking at Mike Leach's service.
Yeah.
The Eagles are now, not now, it was always a thing, but they're going to be wearing all black plus the black helmets on Sunday against Dallas. Gardner Minshew is going to go out there with a vengeance in his first start since the Jets last year, where he played pretty well against the Jets. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky situation because it is a sprained shoulder on his throwing shoulder. Yeah. And I mean, he looked fine. Like, he didn't look particularly hampered after it happened. So I lean in the way that it's not a bad sprain. But I also would say best case scenario, I think they should win regardless of whether or not Gardner Minshew starts all 3 games. They should win one of those. I'd say best case scenario is you're able to get Jalen Hurts in there for like a series or something. Because while I do think that resting players is preferred over rust, I'm talking about mostly like 1 week, not a month. Because at this point, if he doesn't play any of the next 3 games, it will be a month between snaps taken assuming they get the 1 seed after that first round bye. So, yeah.
How did you feel when you got that notification that trended about his having a broken collarbone?
So I had an immediate flashback, as in like PTSD type stuff. I could tell you right now where I was, what I was doing, and all of the things that led up to Carson Wentz tearing his ACL in 2017. I had a flashback to that. I was at work, so I wasn't actively looking at my phone. I glanced down at my phone. I see a bunch of notifications about did Jalen Hurts like break his collarbone? Like
Yep.
the line was moving for Vegas, and I'm like, oh, good Lord.
Yep.
I laid on the ground that night in my apartment with my roommate, and we listened to Everybody Hurts by REM for about 4 hours on repeat. And
Yep.
then I ate a large cheesesteak. I was not hungry, but I figured the power of Philly would heal him.
Yep.
That didn't make any sense. So yeah, I was on the verge of a panic attack at work, pretty straightforwardly. Yeah.
Nice. Also, the power of Philly. Do you want to mention that thing you sent me about the Philly cheesesteaks?
Oh yeah. Oh, this is
Mhm.
great. So yeah. So obviously Dallas is laughable. And they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by former Eagles quarterback and coach Doug Peterson. And they were able to beat Dallas on a miraculous play in overtime.
Mhm.
And following the win, I believe it was Monday, a restaurant in Philadelphia sent a crap ton of cheesesteaks down to the Jaguars facility to thank Doug for the
For
win.
beating Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. That
I think
the
that's a
whole
great
week
story.
I was very silently just in my head. I'm like, Doug's gonna beat Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Doug's gonna beat Dallas.
Yep.
He's gonna beat Dallas. That's just what Doug does. He's just gonna go there. He's gonna beat Dallas, and he's gonna
Dallas,
walk
yep.
away. And now the Jaguars are in prime position to make a playoff run. So
They are.
we'll talk about that later a little
Yes.
bit. But yeah.
Yeah, great story. For running backs on our injury report, the Falcons rookie running back Caleb Huntley will miss the rest of the season with an Achilles tear. Packers running back A.J. Dillon left the game on Monday early to be evaluated for a concussion. Texans running back Dameon Pierce was officially placed on IR and will miss the rest of the season. Dolphins running back Jeff Wilson did not play this week, is considered day-to-day for the upcoming week. And Colts running back Jonathan Taylor has been placed on IR and will miss the remainder of the season with a high ankle sprain.
Nick Foles doesn't need him.
No. 4 wide receivers. Jets wide receiver Denzel Mims left the game with a head injury. Seahawks wide receiver Tyler Lockett is going to have surgery on his finger injury, but even with the surgery, it looks like he may miss only a week. Don't know how that works. Ravens wide receiver Devin Duvernay was placed on IR with a broken foot that he got in practice yesterday. Ravens ended up signing Sammy Watkins, who was released by the Packers earlier that day or the day before. Rams wide receiver Ben Skwarnek will miss the rest of the season with a calf injury. There was no tight end injuries for offensive line.
Dallas Goddard is back, baby.
Dallas Goddard is back.
There's some good news. The tight end front.
Raiders guard Dylan Parham left the game with a knee injury. I'm going to figure out which order I want to put this in. Rams center Brian Allen left the game early with a calf injury and will miss the rest of the season. Bills center Mitch Morris suffered a head injury during the game and is currently in concussion protocol. I do want to note that is his sixth, diagnosed. That's the word I'm looking for. 6th diagnosed concussion in 8 years, which is a hefty amount of concussions.
It's a lot of brain hits.
Yep. And you and I talk a lot about how there's a lot of concussions that don't go diagnosed in the NFL. So having 6 diagnosed concussions is something that I can promise you doctors are urging him not to go back out there. And did I mentioned Brian Allen and Jaguars offensive tackle Cam Robinson will go on IR and have surgery to repair a meniscus injury, and that is a huge, huge blow for the Jaguars. For defense and special teams, Jaguars linebacker Trayvon Walker was already ruled out for this upcoming week with an ankle injury. Jaguars defensive tackle Foley Fatakowski was ruled out with an ankle injury. Ravens defensive end Calais Campbell left the game with a knee injury and is unlikely to play this week. Ravens cornerback Marcus Peters is dealing with a calf strain. The Ravens and Jaguars really got beat up with injuries this week. I think the Ravens a little bit more so. They're suffering on both sides of the ball with injuries. Panthers cornerback CJ Henderson suffered an ankle injury in the game, but did practice this week, so it seems like he's in line to get back out there. Bengals defensive end Sam Hubbard will miss a few weeks with a calf injury. Browns defensive end Davian Clowney is in concussion protocol. Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch suffered a shoulder injury in the game and has been ruled out for this week. The only information I could find is that he's expected to return before the season ends, but they didn't offer a very clear timetable on that. Lions safety Deshaun Elliott suffered a shoulder injury. Texans rookie cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. has been placed on IR for his hamstring injury, and he's officially out for the rest of the season. Titans cornerback Terrence Mitchell left the game with a hamstring injury. Before his injury, 3 cornerbacks on the roster were already out for the Titans. And Niners cornerback Charvarius Ward was out with a concussion from the game this week. And that's your injury report.
I have an update.
Okay.
The Eagles also have 9 alternates to the Pro Bowl.
Oh, God.
The entire Eagles offense outside of Dallas Goedert is either a starter or an alternate. And the only reason Dallas Goedert isn't is because literally you could not vote for him on the website.
Yep.
Which is dumb.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So him and CJ should be on that list. CJ, I believe, still leads the league in interceptions. And the only reason they're not on the list is because you couldn't vote for them. So
love that.
The NFL hates us.
Oh, God.
Clearly that one's a joke. Relax. Clearly that one's a joke.
I know. Either way, why don't you lead us into the 15-second frenzy?
Okay. I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's week, 6-15 now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you should know what this is. I have 15 seconds to talk about a game, and then I'll move on to the next game when Ashley tells me to.
Yep.
Okay, Ashley, tell me when to start.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Seahawks versus Niners. After feeling like a near lock for the playoffs just a few weeks ago, the Seahawks have stumbled and find themselves in a hard spot to make it in. Geno has looked human, the defense is reverting to the mean, and the offense lacks the explosive plays it had early in the season. Meanwhile, if Brock Purdy is confident, there aren't many rosters better than the Niners in the NFL. Vikings versus Colts. Jeff Saturday, the largest comeback ever. 33-0 at halftime. Matt Ryan's wife had an incredible tweet the next morning about the World Cup, about how no one should remember anything that happened in the NFL the next day or earlier the day before, which is incredible. What a time to be Matt Ryan. Yeah. Browns versus Ravens. This one put me to sleep on an otherwise good day of football. The Ravens are losing control of the division, and the Browns are trying not to be boring, I guess. Both deserve an L this week because they were boring and they lost control of the division. But at least the Browns defense really came to play once again, not letting anyone outside of J.K. Dobbins do anything. Bills versus Dolphins. Josh Allen managed that last drive of the game phenomenally and managed to get the very important divisional win over the Miami Dolphins in yet another snow game in Buffalo. It was fun and surprisingly high-scoring game. Miami made it much more competitive in the second half and kind of actually got back on track after a rough couple of weeks, getting back to an effective run game. Saints versus the Falcons. So far, Desmond Ridder has not given the Falcons a reason to avoid drafting a quarterback with their high draft pick. Still, the Falcons play the Saints tough, and rookie Tyler Algier had a career day while the Saints continue to be mostly incompetent on the offensive side of the ball. A one-score game, yes, but also the most boring game of the Sunday 1 p.m. slate. Panthers versus Steelers. Really a must-win game for Carolina's playoff hopes, but they were foiled by the MVP himself, Mitch Trubisky. Not really. He didn't actually do that much. It was mostly Najee Harris and the defense, which is usually Pittsburgh's path to success anyway. Deontay Johnson at least had a good day without Pickett throwing in the ball. And yeah, Jaguars versus the Cowboys. Wow, the Cowboys are hysterical, and watching the end of this game was absolutely fantastic. The Jags are making a real serious push for the playoffs, and Doug Peterson has them rolling right now. The end of their season should be very interesting. The Cowboys go into what is turning into a fairly meaningless matchup against the likely Hurts-less Eagles with all the bad vibes, and they desperately look for a way to correct that before the end of the regular season. Texans versus Chiefs. Proof that football was drunk this week, taking this game into overtime and needing late-game heroics from Jerick McKinnon to barely sneak past the one-win Texans. A career day for him, and the game-winning play caps the weirdest game of the week. Meanwhile, the Texans are thankful they lost and are closer to locking up the first overall pick. Jets versus Lions. I'll say it, Zach Wilson wasn't horrible. And he has another week to prove himself with Mike White still injured. Regardless, the Lions are another team making an impromptu run at the wild card spots in a tightly contested NFC race, which really just mostly consists of the NFC East. Bears versus Eagles. Justin Fields is incredible to watch and single-handedly kept a depleted Bears offense in this game. That is with some uncharacteristic mistakes from the Eagles offensive side of the ball as well. 2 picks and a fumble wasn't the biggest takeaway for the Eagles, though, possibly losing Jalen Hurts until the playoffs. The Bears, meanwhile, keep their high draft pick as high as they can while getting to see their franchise quarterback shine against the top defense. Broncos versus Cardinals. Star-studded cast in this game with Colt McCoy, Brett Ripien, and Trace McSorley all getting play at the quarterback position. That should really tell you all you need to know about this game, but in case it doesn't, it was dominated by the run game by both teams, but ultimately it was Latavius Murray and the Broncos that walked away with the win. Raiders versus Patriots. Pause real quick. Is Downey too loud or?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I'm just laughing because you said this game, so. I'm
Oh,
excited
do
to
I
hear what you
not?
have to say.
Oh, okay.
No, you have this game, but this game was wild. So I'll start your clock again. Go.
Thank you. Raiders versus Patriots. I just don't understand what the plan was at the end of this game. You run it up the middle with 2 seconds left, got a breakaway run that I guess they weren't expecting, start lateraling it, and then the Raiders take it away and take it back for 6. What were the Patriots trying to do exactly? It didn't look like a typical lateral play. It looked like they were trying for overtime. Whatever. I give up. It was embarrassing and kind of hilarious, to be honest.
Yeah.
Buccaneers versus the Bengals. Another week of football means another week of people wondering if Tom Brady is regretting unretiring. 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles in a bad loss to the Bengals leaves them at 6-8, yet leading the division, even if somewhat meaninglessly. The Bengals, meanwhile, take the division lead and are entering the playoffs looking the best they have all year, which has to be scary. The Chargers versus the Titans. Pause one more time. Come here.
We're going to we'll take a quick intermission so Downey can go into another room. We love Downey here. But yeah, I can't stop thinking about that Patriots play. That I know we moved on to the next game, but that one, I want to talk about that one when we're done. And now we have our third co-host here, and that is Miss Downey herself. Hi, Downey.
Okay. Back to it.
Okay.
Where did I leave off? Chargers versus Titans?
Yep. Go ahead.
All right. You ready?
Yep. Go.
A loss leaves this division open for losing for the Titans, and the Chargers pull out a hard-fought win to remain in the playoff wildcard race. Herbert threw for a quiet 300 yards and no touchdowns, but I'm sure it felt nice to have his full complement of weapons back and healthy. Now, with Tannehill done for the season, who knows what to expect out of the Titans team moving forward. Commanders versus Giants. The second of 2 must-watch games between these two teams this year saw the Commanders driving down 8 with 2 minutes left, with Giants fans likely holding their breath. Heineke was barely short when attempting to run it in, ending on the 1-yard line, followed by a called-back touchdown due to an illegal formation penalty that had the Commanders fans furious.
Next.
There was a lot more to say, but Downey is making it very hard to do that. Packers versus Rams. This game sucked. It was the worst game of the week, probably. It was a really disappointing way to end football. A.J. Dillon was good, but he got injured. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I'm sorry.
Downey.
That's a 15-second frenzy. Thank you for your help, Downey. We can talk a couple extra minutes about that Giants and Washington game, because that was a game with so much, I have my blanket on, it's so cold in here, with so much playoff implications. And it was, like you said, Giants fans, we were holding our breath. It was a star-studded performance for Kayvon Thibodeau, who had one of the best games I've seen in a long time for a one player.
For one player.
I was going to say something else, but then I switched. Yeah, that game was anxious. Like, it made me anxious, but it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it's tough because the Giants deserve to win, but the Commanders didn't necessarily deserve to lose.
Yeah, I understand that. There was a lot of drama surrounding the end of that game. We could talk about that a little bit, because Terry McLaurin says he talked to the line judge when asked if so the illegal formation came because he was not lined up on the ball, and a certain number of people need to be lined up on the ball in order for a formation to be legal. Thank you to my coach who taught me that in my sessions with him. But he was not on the line. So he says he asked the line judge, which players can do. It's up to the line judge.
You almost always see wide receivers. They'll kind of look over, they'll point to the line judge, and the line judge will kind of, tell them if they're not, messed up or whatever.
Yep, and it's not, they don't have to say anything. Line judges do not have to help, but oftentimes they will just say yes or no. Terry claims he talked to the line judge, and the line judge says he was not good. So he moved up a little bit, asked the line judge, and the line judge gave him some sort of signal that he was fine, and then moved his hand to his flag, and then as soon as the play was hiked, snapped, then he threw the flag, set illegal formation. So Terry is saying basically he was misled by the line judge, that the line judge should have just said he was off. But again, it's not, the referee's job is not, they don't have to tell you if you're on or off the line.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement.
Yeah.
It's a courtesy.
It's dumb. It's stupid. Terry McLaurin should not be mad at anyone but himself.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's his responsibility. It doesn't mean that the line judge didn't mess up.
Yeah.
And like he could have handled it better for sure, but at the end of the day, like Terry McLaurin, like that's on you, dude. Like,
And again, if
on you.
you're looking at that footage, you're seeing where the line judge stands. The line of scrimmage will always be in between the line judge's legs. They straddle the line of scrimmage. So if you're a receiver who's even thinking you may be off in a situation like that where it all comes down to that play, you're going to be hugging that line.
Yeah.
Or that's at least what you should be doing. This just sums up what has been happening with the Washington and Giants. I mean, last year's matchup between Washington and the Giants, one of their matchups ended in calling a miss. Washington kicked a field goal. They missed, called the Giants offsides, which reviewing the footage afterwards did not look offsides. So this just kind of sums up what's been happening. And it also sums up what's been happening with refereeing as a whole.
Yep.
The which game was it? Was so bad. Was it the Vikings game? I don't know. One of the games had like
a lot
disgusting refereeing. But yeah, that game was, I loved that. That game was a great game by the Giants, and it gives me hope in the future. And what I tweeted out was, it seems like a low bar to set as a fan, but but being able to get excited because this team so clearly made adjustments to their game plan and to personnel and everything in advance of this matchup based off of how the first matchup went is like a really positive thing to see, because that's not something we've been used to for the past handful of years. This team has kind of just rode on mediocrity and kept to the same game plan, but being able to see the differences between last matchup and this matchup with Washington was really interesting. I think gives you some insight into the coaching staff as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the low bar is just to be better than Joe Judge. And, well, it's not that hard, clearly.
Very true. So, our segment this week, you want to tell us about it?
Yeah. After you tell us about it and I get downy.
Okay. So this week we're going to analyze some of the players in the NFL who are on new contracts this year, who recently signed, who teams have invested in, and how their team might feel about those signings now. There are a lot of big names here who got paid a lot of money to be where they currently are. So we're going to go through our list.
Okay, I'm back. I'm assuming you explained it.
I did explain.
Okay, great. Yeah, I sent Danny downstairs. She's having a conniption today.
Perfect.
I'm not sure what her issue is.
You need to give her some mail.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't take any, to be honest. But
for those who are not regulars here, Downey likes to eat the mail.
She does.
She does.
Loves it, and she likes.
Does she like the mailman?
She loves our mailwoman. Yeah.
Okay.
She gives her a treat every day.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I think she might like it because she knows then she gets to eat mail.
I think it's more the treat.
Yeah, true.
But because it doesn't have to be mail.
Mm-hmm.
It can be important family photographs.
Paper. She likes paper.
Paper in general, yeah.
Just give her like a roll of paper towels and let her eat it.
Yeah, but then I have to clean it up because she does it in my bed.
It's true.
She's a jerk.
All right. Pick a player. Where are we starting?
Well, the obvious one is Russell Wilson, but I think we've exhausted that topic a tad.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna kind of scoot by that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think we should start with the next highest paid player in terms of total value that signed a contract that starts this season, and that would be Kyler Murray, quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. As a refresher, he signed this is the first year of a 5-year deal that pays $46 million a year. And the first out, there's a couple decent outs. The website I'm looking at has the first out of 2028. I think the first out would probably be the year before that when there's only a $7 million dead cap. But regardless, I think the more interesting thing is the reports that they're reportedly moving on from Steve Keim. And I think the future of Cliff Kingsbury is a little up in the air. Yep. But you've got this young quarterback who's is injured at the moment, but proven to be inconsistent consistently. And it's a very interesting position for a new
Mm-hmm.
coach, possibly a new coach, and a new GM to walk into. So I'm curious what you think about what the future holds for Kyler and how the Arizona Cardinals are probably feeling right now.
Yeah. As a whole, I don't think they're very happy about spending that much money, injury aside. I think that you pay that type of money to have at least a consistent above average quarterback. But you're getting flashes of greatness, and I don't think you want to pay that much money for flashes. You need a quarterback who is going to lead a locker room, who is going to lead on the field, and that doesn't seem like anything that's been happening. I mean, the Cardinals were plagued with PR issues after they signed Kyler Murray because of the terms they had to put in his contract. I think that alone is a bad
It's
sign.
incredible.
Yeah. One of my favorite storylines from this NFL season. But
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think you're going to keep his contract. I think you're going to try and make it work around him, which means I think you're
Yeah,
going
you
to
have
eventually have to get rid of Cliff Kingsbury. You're going to move on from most of your staff and try and build a roster and a coaching staff that supports him and go from there. It's hard because you're leveraging all of your future on one player, but at this point you paid that money already and you kind of have to do it.
Yes. And just for clarification, because I definitely didn't explain this right the first time, the new contract extension that he signed technically doesn't kick in until 2024. That's the
Yes.
first year of like it costs $51 million to have him under contract.
Mhm.
But yeah, sorry. Just wanted to clarify that a little
It's
bit.
okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Cardinals are probably not feeling great with their overall position right now because
Mhm.
they've clearly been in a win now type of mode for a
Yeah.
while. And I don't know if their team really, if you're forecasting, anything can happen, but if you're forecasting a year into the future, I'm not sure if you're looking at this roster and the decisions you've made financially and saying, yeah, we're going to go into next year and we're going to be better than
Yep.
we were this year.
Yep.
So,
Exactly. I wanted to look at how many free agents they have coming up in this next year because, like you said, they've been banking on the team getting there now, and they're
yeah.
just not. I mean, who do they have becoming free agents in 2023? Are people like J.J. Watt,
Yep.
A.J. Green. You have a decent amount of defensive players who but you have your other backup, Trace McSorley, who's on a 1 year deal right now. But Max Williams, the tight end, double X Max Williams.
Yeah, but they have Zach Ertz and
They do have Zach Ertz.
Trey McBride.
But these are just the bigger names on offense because they don't have as many. But again, you're losing a lot of defensive players. So you have to pay your offense. So I think they're stuck in this catch-22 right now. And I don't think that's the way you want to feel after signing a deal like that.
No, almost never.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the next one is a pretty different situation, I think. Not a good feeling one, but a pretty different one overall. And that's Matthew Stafford. Obviously, he was riddled with injuries all season. Ended up, did he get Tommy John surgery? Is that what ended up happening?
I don't remember. There was, like you said, there was so many of them. I don't
Yeah,
know. The latest one was head and neck.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
ended his season.
He
Was
had
the head and
he had
neck.
the elbow thing during the preseason, and I
Yeah.
don't think he ever actually healed from it.
Yeah.
And then he had like a concussion, and then somehow ended up on IR.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a lost year overall for the Rams, but you just recently signed. He's 34 this year, dealing with a crap ton of injuries. And starting next season, starting in 2 seasons is when the big money really kicks in terms of the cap hit. But you can't cut him. In 2025, if you cut him, it's 24,000 dead cap, and the year after that, it's 12,000. That's probably your first out. But you're still taking, it's costs a lot of money. He costs a lot of money, and the team this year that they had did not look like a team that is going to be instantly ready to bounce back next season.
Yeah.
Especially when like last season, you had people talking about retirement out the wazoo. Aaron Donald, who I believe I also have on this list. So I'll just bring him up now. He signed a 3-year, $31.6 million deal. And yeah,
Andrew Whitworth retired.
Andrew,
He
the
actually
offensive
did
line
retire.
is in complete shambles.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp obviously is still Cooper Kupp, but outside of
On
that,
IR.
I also had Allen Robinson on this list, who
Mm-hmm.
signed for 3 years at $15.5 million per year. That was a wasted contract, and
Yeah.
you can't really feel good about cutting him until after next season.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a lot of money tied up in guys that you're very unsure about the future. Obviously, if Donald, why can't I say his name? If Donald is playing, he's a top player in the
Mm-hmm.
league, but he was very non-committal coming into last season. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think he ran it back because they were going to win again, and it kind of just all fell apart. I don't
a
know
little bit.
how much longer he stays. There's been rumors floating around about Matthew Stafford's retirement. He did go on his wife's podcast, and she very like straight up asked him, "Are you retiring?" He said, "Absolutely not." So he is claiming not retiring. Um, for me, it feels like a situation where someone else is going to pay that money. I don't know that the Rams keep him, but somebody else will pay that money, and I don't doubt that they shop him a little bit. And kind of get ready to rebuild with all of their 0 draft picks, but not a full
See,
rebuild.
it's for
But
that reason that I don't think that because I don't think you can get off of Matt Stafford and actually get picks. I
yeah,
think you have to. I think it's almost a Jared Goff thing, and I think Sean McVay
Mhm.
would much rather.
That's true.
He trusts Matt Stafford. He likes Matt Stafford, and when
Yeah.
Matt Stafford is healthy and right, he's a great quarterback. Whether or not he's healthy and like if he's not healthy, no one's going to trade for him. And if he's healthy, you
Mhm.
probably want him because you have a chance to compete if you can form some type of roster around him.
Yeah.
Or even just Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, that's true. But again, I feel like Matt Stafford is Matt Stafford when Cooper Kupp is there. He seems to struggle a little more when Cooper Kupp's not. I think any quarterback would.
Yeah.
I
would.
I don't know. I just feel like this team has way too much money tied up, and they're gonna need to find an out somewhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're gonna need to find a lot of outs.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
just
what
don't
we
know
knew was gonna
where.
happen one day. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, moving on to yet another quarterback who was sort of riled with controversy this offseason. That would be Aaron Rodgers. He's 38 right now. This was his age 38. This was his age 39 season.
Mhm.
Technically, I guess that's confusing. Oh yeah, he signed it when he was 38. But anyway, he signed for $50 million a year, and a 3-year extension. Now that's kind of a little weird in a certain way because like technically that doesn't kick in until 2024, that extension. And to cut him before that is not really that hard because going into when it cost, so the last 3 years of the deal are 40 million, 59 million, and 53 million. To cut him before any of those years, it's only a $24 million cap hit, dead cap. So clearly, when it happened, everyone knew that was, hey, Aaron Rodgers saying, I'm not going to retire right now.
Yeah.
But he has also been very non-committal about that.
Yep.
And if you cannot cut him going into next year, because it would cost $99 million
God.
in dead cap to cut him, which is hysterical
That's
going into
crazy.
2023. And I believe if he retires, that also that still is I think that might still work like that, or it's just a regular cap hit of 31 million. But regardless, kind of hilarious how this contract is put together, in my opinion. But
I just want to bring up the one stat I had. I don't remember if I shared it with you, but Aaron Rodgers on Monday night officially threw 10 interceptions. The last time he had that many interceptions in a season was 2010.
Didn't they win the Super Bowl in 2010?
I don't know.
You don't think?
I don't know.
You don't think? Packers are winning the Super Bowl?
No way.
I need to look. I feel like it was 2010. They won in 2011, so yeah, it was the 2010.
Yeah.
It was the 2010 season. So,
Wow.
not gonna say that stat
Packers are
means
making a
nothing,
run.
Ashley.
But it means something.
It means something.
Doesn't mean everything, but doesn't mean nothing.
It just might not be. So anyway,
the playoffs for them, they need to win out, and then if the Giants could lose out, a whole bunch of other scenarios, but they would. One of the scenarios is the Giants lose out and they win out and they make playoffs.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean this is a very interesting situation because of the ever looming Jordan Love. They spent a first-round pick on him. There's been talk of him requesting a trade in the offseason, which he absolutely should if Aaron Rodgers doesn't retire.
He's looked decent.
Yeah, he's looked fine.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, like, dude wants to play. I feel that. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers probably considered requesting a trade at some point while being under Brett Favre. But regardless, hilarious how those situations have mimicked themselves.
Yeah.
But it's just a very interesting situation because of how bad they've been this year.
Yeah.
It made perfect sense when they were going to be good. But Aaron Rodgers has not totally looked like himself, whether it be the weird diet or the drugs or whatever.
It's the ayahuasca.
Or just the straight up not having Davante Adams, which was always a confusing choice to make around a quarterback coming back in the twilight of his career, but whatever. Do you have any thoughts? I've just been kind of rambling.
I agree with it all. I mean, you're going to have to pay to get him a good receiver. I mean, you have Christian Watson right now, which is great. I feel like you're going to have to pay to get another one, but hey, you're not going to eat $99 million. That's for sure. I don't really know where they go with that one. That's just, it's like you said, like it's not a bad contract. Like looking at it straight, like, you know, I don't know how to phrase what I'm trying to say, but I don't think it's the worst contract of the bunch, but with how they've been playing makes it so bad. That's
obviously
it's any contract, but I feel like this one stings a little bit more. Yes.
With any quarterback, it's like, if they're not playing well, when Carson Wentz signed his extension in Philly, everyone praised it because they did it ahead of like the market resetting. It was a good price for what you perceived as a top 5-ish quarterback in the league. Blah, 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 blah. As soon as he starts sucking, it's like, oh, this is a horrible contract.
Yeah.
And it's just like, quarterback more than anything because they cost so much darn money. Like, as soon as it's a bad contract, it goes from being a bad contract to the worst contract in the league because it's $1 billion.
Yeah.
Or in Patrick Mahomes' case, $500 million.
Yeah. Either way, I don't think the question we keep that this segment is surrounded by is how's the team feeling? I don't think they're thrilled, but I don't think they're as disappointed as they could be. I think it could be a lot worse. I think they're kind of just like, this kind of stinks, but
I mean, I think they have to know what they were getting themselves into.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
you trade away Davante Adams.
Yeah.
Who knows what the behind, the behind the scenes baseball is on that one, but like you trade away Davante Adams, you're relying on 2 rookie wide receivers, including the day 3 wide receiver. This has to be like I don't know what you could have expected.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. Packers are morons for the most part.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Next up, we have a couple wide receivers. I'm actually going to jump ahead on the list and go specifically to. It's actually like a thruple, I guess. We have Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, and Darren Waller. So I think the obvious thing they're feeling great about is Devontae Adams. He's looked as good as he ever has. It looks better when Aaron Rodgers is throwing you the ball, but whatever. But really, it's just the kind of way that they're all tied together. I mean, Derek Carr, you can cut him and you can cut him and basically lose nothing after this season. But with the way that you're now paying the top 2 weapons in Devontae Adams and Darren Waller, you have to be asking yourself the question, first of all, I mean, with how bad this season has generally been for the Raiders, what is their faith in that core in general? Do they still feel as strongly about it as they did when they signed all these contracts? And also, what is their hope of being able to recruit maybe Aaron Rodgers or one of these other quarterbacks that might be looking to relocate with this core of players? And do they think that it would be enough of an upgrade over Derek Carr and get them into competition mode? Obviously, you have Max Crosby on the defense, but not a ton else.
Chandler Jones.
Yeah. Yes, Chandler Jones. That's fair.
Yep.
But yeah, then it just becomes like how much of a fluke was this year, and how competitive can they get if they upgraded at the quarterback position? Because I think that's going to define the way that they feel about investing long term in Adams and Darren Waller.
Yeah,
and possibly Derek Carr. But again, Derek Carr is like it's kind of a throwaway contract after this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that if they make a move, the thing is, like, I don't know, like you said, I think it's gonna have to be someone within the league
Tom
already
Brady.
that who wants that, right? I don't think anybody
Tom
wants
Brady.
to sign on for that right now.
Oh, I see.
But
I think people will do it in a heartbeat.
oh, I think they will. I think they will. I just don't know that it's the smart play.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know. You
Tom Brady's
can't.
the issue there.
Yeah. No,
That's a
it's not.
conversation for the
Yeah,
offseason.
that's a yeah. Just I don't know. Not. I wouldn't feel. I would be
Just
happy, but I
remember
wouldn't
who the
be.
head coach is.
Yeah. So
Tom Brady knows him.
my big yeah.
How many times can I possibly interrupt the same thought?
I don't know. I don't know, but now I'm losing it. It's going off the rails.
Spin off the
Yeah,
rails.
I think the one I'm worried about is Darren Waller. I think you paid him decently, and
17 million a year for 3 years.
yeah. So I don't think it's a horrible contract. I'm just hoping to see more out of him if I'm the Raiders organization. I know it's because of injuries and other stuff going on, but I want him stepping into a type of role he had last year, before the Thanksgiving injury, because tight ends like that are harder to come by. I mean, it's like I'm not calling him Travis Kelsey, but in the Travis Kelsey, Mark Andrews, like super dominant tight end, the way it used to be, you don't have those around as much anymore. So I want to see a little bit more out of Darren Waller, and I'm incredibly happy that I paid Javonte Adams. I think at the beginning of the season I was probably like a little bit nervy, but right now I'm happy, and I think I would probably end up trying to prove that this roster is going in the right direction, which I think from the outside looking in does look like it is, and trying to recruit a quarterback who can get you there, because I don't know that it's Derek Carr.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. We're going to stick with. I think they're all going to be like, we're sticking with Carr, we're sticking with
Yeah,
Derek
probably.
until they're not,
Yeah.
and then they can
Yeah.
cut him and not have to worry about it or trade him.
Yep. And you know that part of the reason Devontae Adams went there is he knew Derek Carr. They got Devontae Adams in the door now, and he's there. Like,
Yep.
Him and Derek Carr were best friends, but at the end of the day, I think Devontae Adams is gonna cheer for a Super Bowl ring over a best friend. And if that means getting a new quarterback, then
I would take my best friend over a Super Bowl
I
ring.
would too. But I would never get a Super Bowl ring, so that's just why. Either way, on to the next.
The next one is another wide receiver, and his name is Tyreek Hill. Traded to the Dolphins, and then signed to a 4-year, $120 million contract. So that is $40 million a year. One specific tab on my internet is not loading, so I can't look at the specifics at the moment. But yeah, I think this is a pretty straight. I think this one and the next one are probably the two most straightforward. Just like, great, good job, doing good things. Mike McDaniel clearly knows how to make this offense work with Tyreek Hill in it. It's overall not a horrible contract. I mean, most of the money is within the first 2 seasons, so it's really after the 2023 season that you can cut him if you need to, and there's not a ton of dead cap. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just a very easy thumbs up. You got a lot more out of Tua than you've gotten previously, and that alone it makes it worth it, in my opinion.
Yep. And I saw a tweet today. I was trying to find it as you were speaking, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find the original. Oh, there we go. It was from Courtney Cronin, who's a Chicago Bears reporter. And they basically talked about before the Eagles, I know it's someone else I think that's the one you're referencing next. Before the Eagles got A.J. Brown for Jalen Hurts, and the Dolphins traded for Tyreek Hill to aid to his development, the Buffalo Bills traded for Stephon Diggs to help Josh Allen take his next step at quarterback. Getting true wide receiver ones for young quarterbacks is a model most teams have followed, and most teams have found success with that. And I think that coming from a Bears reporter is really interesting too, because you get to compare what the Dolphins did for Tua and him taking the next step versus what the Bears have done for Justin Fields, which is he has no weapons. He has no one to throw to. So I think a contract like this, yes, it's a lot of money, but you're improving 2 positions at one by getting
one of them being the most important.
Yes, exactly. And you're getting a star-studded wide receiver for what I would call right now, at least, a decent price. And you're improving your quarterback position because of it. And that especially rings true for quarterbacks who are younger and trying to make that next leap. So I think this was a grand slam for the Dolphins.
Yeah, the next one on the list we don't even really need to talk that much about. It's AJ Brown. The
Yep.
Eagles are thrilled. Jalen Hurts
Yep.
is thrilled. He would be the MVP if the league decided to cancel the rest of the season, but unfortunately he's probably going to get snubbed because of injury, which is stupid, and it pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna miss like one game, really, because all they need to do is win one more game, and then he would have sat.
And
So
then Patrick Mahomes wins.
yeah, it's just like he wouldn't have need to play. Beside the point.
Yeah.
AJ Brown, great signing, really good contract. 4 years, $100 million, so only $25 million a year. That's $5 million a year less than Tyreek Hill. And I don't think that there's. I think AJ Brown is a top 5 wide receiver in the league.
Oh yeah.
Right now. So
and my comments about Tyreek Hill reign true for AJ Brown as well.
Yeah. But that actually brings me to one of the ones that I find the most interesting, because it was a very large topic over the offseason, one that I had a very, very passionate point or opinion on, and that was Christian Kirk for $18 million a year for 4 years. And then I'll throw in Zay Jones for $8 million a year for 3 years. Both considered overpays. I agreed that both were overpays. But exactly what you said, which is finding a true wide receiver one.
Yep.
If you can't find a true wide receiver one, it's better to have NFL caliber starting wide receivers than to have literal garbage to throw the ball to. And look at what it's done to Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Doug Peterson knew exactly what he was doing because he saw what it did with Carson Wentz. I yelled it all offseason that it was a smart signing. If you have to pay the Jacksonville tax, you have to pay the Jacksonville tax. They did. And it netted them actually being confident in Trevor Lawrence going forward.
Yep.
So
I think that it also helps. I know it's not college football, but it helps set up recruiting in free agency. Like 100%. This is a team I would look like I would like if I was a player I would want to go to right now.
Yep.
Between the vibes and the way they've pulled off these incredible wins and Doug Peterson as a whole. While that's
changed he did exactly 100%. What everyone thought he would do. 100%. And by signing Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, you're proving to free agents that hey,
we'll pay you.
Quarterback that can get we have a quarterback that can get you the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, the wide receivers don't want to play in Baltimore.
No.
And whether or not they're right about that, there's a very clear reason. And now a wide receiver can feel confident about going to Jacksonville and saying they're going to get me the ball. Oh, and by the way, remember who they traded for at the trade deadline? Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
A star in this league, assuming that he comes back and he's all right.
Yep. And I think there was such outrage around that because it set the wide receiver market high.
Yep.
Like it set the floor of the wide receiver market really high. And it was due to be one of the craziest wide receiver markets of the last couple of years.
A lot so Debo, DK, AJ.
Exactly. So that was like one of the first major signings, and it set the bar really high for the wide receiver market, which is why I think there was so much outrage. I think if there was one before him, it wouldn't. But I think just the theatrics of it all fell into place. But whether this team makes playoffs or not, this signing is an A+ in my book, and I think has aided Trevor Lawrence's development beyond what you could imagine, and has just set Jacksonville up for a really good future and makes it look like they know what they're doing there.
I agree. I mean, I don't know if I have any faith in the actual organization, but I have faith in Doug Peterson, and I'm basically just saying I'm taking this as a win. And yeah, I mean, I liked it when it happened. This is not a hindsight thing for me. I just feel very vindicated. And Christian Kirk didn't have like a Pro Bowl year, but he had like a very good season. And again, it's not like they just signed Christian Kirk and said, "Oh yeah, there we go."
Yeah,
they brought back Marvin Jones and they signed Zay Jones and they signed.
And Zay Jones has been doing.
Well, he's been fantastic as a.
You can look at it and say he was incredibly underpaid for what he's done for the Jaguars. Yeah. But as a whole, I think the signings they've made, you and I could talk about the Jaguars all day and about their future all day because we both have high hopes for this Jaguars team in the next 1 to 2 years. Maybe this year, you never know. But yeah, I mean, I think both of them were really good signings.
I agree. And it does bring us to the end of that list and the end of this episode.
It
Why
does. So
you
why
do
don't?
the outro thing? Because I
Okay,
don't
I'll
know
do
how
the
to
outro thing, Duncan. Why don't you tell us where we can find you?
On Christmas Eve, you can watch me. Nope, you can find me watching Gardner Minshew tear up the Dallas Cowboys defense. And other than that, you can find me on Twitter at mpduncan75. You can normally find me doing a start sit show.
I was just about to ask that.
We
What
haven't
do you?
figured out what we're doing yet.
Because there's so many Saturday games.
Well, yeah, and then Sunday's Christmas, and I'm not doing it
Yeah.
on Christmas morning. And nobody would listen on Christmas. Why would you? I mean, we are degenerates, but still.
What if we do it like Friday?
Yeah, I
night
don't
or
know.
something?
We got to talk to Space, and I got to
Yeah.
talk to Derek, and we'll figure that out. But you can also find me here Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can find me wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at Ashley_Marie with 2 A's in the beginning of Ashley. You can find me and all my content with the Undroppables at theundroppables.com. And you can find me, Duncan, and the rest of the Undroppables team on our premium Discord channels, which you can gain access to by becoming a patron at patreon.com/theundroppables. Once you sign up, you'll be able to enter our Discord channels, and in there we have betting strategies, DFS, start-sit questions, dynasty questions, everything you can imagine the Undroppables team is there to help with. So we hope you join us. We hope to see you here again next week, and we hope you all have a very happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and enjoy it with you and yours.
Yes. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
And per usual, go Birds.
Yeah. Bye.